What's going on, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to a brand new episode of Caffeinate today for January the 7th of 2019. My name is Samuel Adams, and welcome to today's show. I hope that this one finds you well, and for those that are brand new to the program, this is a daily gaming news podcast where I bring you the hottest gaming news from around the industry and let you know what is going on in one tight, neat little package for you to enjoy on your way to work, during a run, while you're sitting in front of your computer like the majority of you are doing, or on your phone, laying in bed waiting for it to fall on your face whenever you lose your grip. I speak from experience, but today we have some pretty major news because right now, CES 2019 is currently underway and there is a ton of news coming out of it. Specifically today, we will have our headliner, which is that Elgato unveiled, there we go, a brand new desk-mounted studio light for streamers. We will talk about that if you are interested in creating some content with the best lighting you could ever imagine. Hypothetically. On top of that, HTC has a brand new wireless PC-powered VR headset called the Vive Cosmos. We'll talk about that a little bit more. I'm stuttering today. A lot of coffee, as the show does kind of hint at. But a brand new graphics card is coming from Nvidia, with the RTX 2060 coming your way at a very affordable price as compared to the other RTX cards on the market right now. Soldier 76 is a member of the LGBTQ community. We will talk about that some. Epic boss Tim Sweeney is now worth more than Gabe Newell, according to Bloomberg. The humble store, for those Nintendo fans out there, now sells Switch and 3DS games. Warner Brothers has pulled the Lego Lord of the Rings games from digital stores. Not all Lego games, but just the Lord of the Rings games. There's a brand new Alien game coming out, but it is nothing more than a mobile game. It hurts my heart, I kid you not. And if you are interested in some quality entertainment, Awesome Games Done Quick is currently underway, and we will discuss where you can watch that, what you can do about it, and how you can help raise money by speedrunning very popular games. But to bear in the chat, oh yeah, the smooth sounds of Sam Radio, you know it, son. And I hope you guys have a fantastic enjoyment of this show. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the gaming news of the day. Elgato unveils a desk-mounted studio light for streamers. Yes, this looks very good. The software-controlled lights also aim to cut down on the heat output, which is something that I currently, as somebody who is sitting in front of a green screen with two giant studio lights aimed at his face, would love to partake in. It's really hot. At CES today, Elgato unveiled a new product aimed at helping streamers build high-quality video studios in their homes, the Elgato Key Light, a desk-mounted light that provides the kind of adjustable illumination needed for great-looking video. The light is software-controlled with adjustable brightness up to 2,500 lumens, and for reference, a 100-watt replacement LED bulbs are about 1,400 to 1,500, and a color temperature range of 2,500K to 7,000K, which is pretty much saying it could be a very bright, vibrant light, or it could be a warm, soft kind of bedroom light, if you will, for all those ASMR streamers. But it's powered via a traditional wall outlet. It clamps to your desk. Elgato says you can stick it on the back of your desk and still push the desk all the way against a wall, and it is easily adjustable to get your lighting set up just right. It's also compatible out of the box with Elgato's Stream Deck, convenient for streamers who have already integrated the controller into their setup. Elgato says the light will output less heat than softboxes, the type of lights traditionally used in video studios, and the trade-off for Key Light's great size and easy compatibility price is, of course, the price. Softboxes can cost less than $50. The Key Light launches next week for $199. So to break this down even more, what you have here is pretty much a giant light panel. Now, during my time as a college student, I have interned at two specific kind of entertainment and media companies. I was at iHeartRadio, and then I was also at the Spectrum News, which is essentially this giant news outlet that is a big part of what the Southeast uses to get their news, specifically in my region. And these light boxes are very similar in nature to what they actually used at the studio. Now, of course, these are sort of entry-level panels, if you will. These aren't necessarily a good thing for outside and outdoors as the ones that I, am kind of, that I'm kind of accustomed with. There we go. Normally would, but the fact that these exist, the fact that these are coming out, it's definitely going to be a big benefit for those that are wanting to get into live streaming. Will I be upgrading? See, that's where I kind of come to a fork in the road, because these are $200 a piece. So if you have 2 of them, that's a $400 lighting setup. Now, with that being said, the software that comes with these lights can control their color. You know, you can adjust it from a vibrant white light, as I said, to something that's more of a warm bedroom light. On top of that, you can adjust the brightness. You can turn them off via the Stream Deck, which I have one sitting here beside me. A lot of options here for those that did want to fully become engulfed in Elgato's line of products. And if you are engulfed in it, not necessarily a bad thing either. So if you did want to pick these up again, launching next week for $200, and I believe available on the Amazon website right now. You can check them out if you were into that. But overall, big news coming from Elgato. Now, they announced 3 other products as well. There was actually a brand new link between your cell phone and streaming software like their own software or OBS, where essentially you can Skype with yourself in a way and capture that video from your phone and put it up on stream. So if you had to, say, answer the door or something like that, you didn't have to necessarily leave stream. You can just turn on that app and boom, off you go. On top of that, there was a brand new Thunderbolt compatibility port kind of thing that is available, which is essentially for Mac users that want to plug in a USB device and use it as a display port, use it as a multiple USB hub, stuff along those lines. And there was something else. Oh, yes. For those that already have a Stream Deck, you can essentially expect a lot more apps and a lot more compatibility going forward, because those that are able to develop apps for the Stream Deck are going to be increasing in number, because they have pretty much opened up the SDK and now anybody can develop an app for the Stream Deck, which is great because it's a very useful tool, and I would love to see more of that kind of utilization going forward. But I digress. I could go on about Elgato for a very long time, and in fact, I might make a video specifically about this key light, because I made one about the green screen that I used today, which is the Elgato green screen, and I also made one about the other Elgato products that have come out in the past. But overall, if you did want to get in on some pretty good stream lighting, then $200 will get you one LED panel, which is, oh, that hurts a little bit. I just want to make sure it's just one, right? It's just one. Yeah, the key light, just one key light. That is absolutely insane, $200. Ouch. Speaking of stuff that's probably more expensive than I'm willing to spend, HTC has announced a wireless PC-powered VR headset called the Vive Cosmos. It looks pretty interesting. HTC has announced a new virtual reality headset called the Vive Cosmos. Based on a very brief appearance during the company's CES presentation, the Cosmos is HTC's bid at a relatively mainstream VR headset. It doesn't require external sensors and uses fully tracked motion controllers, and it's being pitched as a convenient device with absolute comfort and easy setup, intended for either home or mobile use. But we don't know how much it costs, what its exact capabilities are, or when it's going to launch, although HTC posted on Twitter that it's coming soon, and a press release says it will offer development kits in early 2019. The Cosmos is supposed to connect to a computer wirelessly, something the HTC Vive headset supports, but only with a special adapter. The HTC company suggested that you might be able to link the Cosmos with a smartphone in the future, and a teaser video shows it alongside a phone. In a press release, HTC said that it will have the capability to be powered by more than a traditional gaming PC, though that is a nebulous description. And so here you can see exactly what you're working with, but essentially it is what you would expect. It is a wireless VR headset. And I believe it's products like this that aren't necessarily the future, but that are acting as the stepping stone to where VR is going to go. Now, there is more that you can read about here, and the articles are always linked below in the YouTube description. But essentially, up until now, aside from the adapter for the HTC Vive, the VR world has been tethered to your PC, and even for those that have PSVR, it's being tethered to the PlayStation 4. And so the future, as it continues to grow and evolve, the VR, I guess, headsets, the VR hardware is all going to have to become wireless if it truly is going to take off in the way that people expect. I know that we've all seen these snippets online of these kind of treadmill multi-directional objects that allow you to walk in a VR world, and it's only whenever you achieve full immersion in VR that you're successfully going to be able to market this on a wide scale. I think that's really what it comes down to. And so, although this might just be good for watching a movie on your phone in the future, or although this might be good for just playing mobile VR games, it is a product like this, it is technology like this that is continuing to grow and to evolve and to push the industry in brand new directions. So that's a very exciting kind of forward-thinking motion. But is it going to be, the next big VR headset? No. It is, however, a pretty good stepping stone. And now, again, a ton of VR headsets coming out on the market today. There's more than likely going to be some kind of iteration of the PlayStation VR whenever the PlayStation 5 does launch. Again, predicted to be sometime around 2020, so we'll see how that goes. But VR is going way further than I ever thought that it would. Whenever it first became a part of the discussion, whenever people first started talking about the potential for Battle Royale, VR to become a big part of gaming culture, I was very skeptical. I didn't think that it would last into 2019, yet here we are still talking about at CES brand new VR headsets coming out. I mean, even my old neighbor has a VR headset for his phone. Whenever the old people are getting it, it's becoming a thing. But you might need a pretty good card to power any kind of VR headset that you've got coming down the pipe. And guess what? Nvidia has you covered. Nvidia announces RTX 2060 more powerful than the GTX 1070 Ti at $350. And it's coming on January the 15th. Sorry, I looked at today's date and then I looked at the date that it's coming out and I combined them. But January the 15th is when the RTX 2060 is going to be launching. Also to Roy in the chat on Twitch. Hey man, how's it going? But moving on. At its press conference on the eve of CES 2019, Nvidia announced the new affordable member of the RTX graphics card family, the RTX 2060, a $350 card that it says is faster than last generation's 1070 Ti, and it is coming soon. The RTX 2060 is coming out on January the 15th. Quote, the RTX 2060 is 60% faster on current titles than the prior generation GTX 1060, Nvidia's most popular GPU, and beats the gameplay of the GeForce GTX 1070 Ti. With Turing's RT cores and Tensor cores, it can run Battlefield 5 with ray tracing at 60 frames per second, says Nvidia's official press release. The RTX 2060 features 6 GB of GDDR6 and 240 Tensor cores. Nvidia says third-party cards will be available right alongside the factory overclocked Founders Edition on January the 15th. And of course, you can keep up with all of this kind of news over at PC Gamer. Why did I upgrade to a brand new computer before CES 2019? I don't know why. I choose the worst times to upgrade my stuff, but I digress. What you have here is pretty much a fantastic step towards effectively marketing RTX technology to the mainstream PC gamer. Because as they said, the 1060 is not a powerful card, but it is the most popular card for consumers that are purchasing brand new graphics cards. Because it's not going to be, having incredible 4K, 60 frames per second gameplay if you have a 1060. You aren't going to be able to have incredible frame rates, but what you do have is an experience that is relatively comparable to a console, and in fact a little bit better than that. It is pretty much what you would expect from a solid PC gaming experience. So to be able to provide this $350 alternative that has the RTX technology, that is a future-thinking style of card, and that, of course, is completely and totally able to do anything VR related, that's a big deal. And so if you are in the market for upgrading to a brand new graphics card, if you're in the market for a brand new build, then by all means, give this one a look. Now, I will say that Power GPU, somebody who recently went full-time into building PCs for not only streamers, but also for people in general, did say that if you do have a 1070 Ti, there is not enough here to upgrade. There is no reason to really bail on your old setup quite yet. This is still a good card for those that are in the market for getting, as I said, a brand new card. This is the one to look at if you are into Nvidia, but overall could be a big deal for those that do want a little bit more out of their, system if you did want to upgrade. But again, not necessarily worth it. Just depends on your current situation. Now, another big announcement that I do not have pulled up here is that if you do have a PC and you game on this PC, then you might have heard about G-Sync and FreeSync. Essentially, these are Nvidia and AMD versions of technology, software, hardware based on G-Sync. But essentially, it allows you to lock in your frame rates and pretty much have a really good experience whenever you're playing on a PC. Again, the technicalities of this are beyond me. I just turn it on and things look nice. But up until now, G-Sync monitors have been about $400 to $500 more expensive in my personal experience than what you would get from a FreeSync monitor, which is why the monitor I am currently looking at is a FreeSync monitor. It's just too expensive to go to G-Sync, and 9 times out of 10, I don't even have it turned on. But, announced at their CES press conference, now FreeSync monitors are going to be compatible with Nvidia graphics cards, meaning you can essentially use FreeSync in the same way you would use G-Sync. How that works on the back end, again, is beyond me. But if you are into PC gaming and you did want to get a brand new monitor, guess what? G-Sync isn't quite as important as it was before, and if you want to get a FreeSync monitor, there is going to be some compatibility there. But that's enough CES talk for today. Let's go ahead and move on to some new news coming out of Blizzard, because they have quietly confirmed another LGBTQ Overwatch hero. I've got you in my sights, they say at Polygon. In a new short story titled Bastet, I believe is how you say that, Blizzard Entertainment confirms that Soldier 76, aka Jack Morrison, is the second LGBTQ character in the Overwatch universe. Former sniper Anna comes across a wounded Soldier 76 in the streets of Cairo and takes him back to her hideout. It's the first time they've been reunited since the explosion rocked the Overwatch headquarters in Switzerland, and neither of them knew the other one was alive for sure until now. She catches a glimpse of him going through a few photos and sees an old one of him with a dark-haired man named Vincent. Vincent, I haven't thought about him in years, Anna said. Still keeping a candle lit for him. Jack shook his head, nothing like that. You've never looked in on him? You must have been curious, all the surveillance power in the world. I bet Gabe would have put a Blackwatch agent on him if you asked, Anna said. Jack glared at her. Ouch. Oh, okay, touchy subject. I don't know why I'm over here reading like... Anyways, Jack laughed. He got married. They're very happy. I'm happy for him. Vincent deserved a happier life than the one I could give him, Jack said. We both knew that I could never put anything above my duty. Everything I fought for was to protect people like him, and that's the sacrifice I made. Relationships don't work out so well for us, do they? Anna said, unconsciously running her thumb over where her wedding ring used to be. The announcement comes a little over 2 years after an Overwatch comic revealed that Tracer spending Christmas with her girlfriend Emily. However, if we take a closer look at the same comic, we can make out a panel of Soldier looking at what appears to be the same photograph referenced in the Bastet story. I do not want to read it like ASMR. I will just say that. But outside of the cinematics, this is a big chunk of Overwatch lore players have gotten in a while, and also the first time we've seen anything about Soldier's personal life. And so you have the unveiling of the fact that Soldier 76 is a member of the LGBTQ community. And for me, this is completely and totally irrelevant because, like I said, I'm a straight guy. This is not something that is necessarily catering to me. This isn't something that I really care about because at the end of the day, I've never even watched any of these lore videos. This isn't my fight, my battle, if you will. So I don't really care what kind of team you're playing for, you know what I'm saying? As long as you can still shoot the gun, and as long as you're still, able to lock in on people and just obliterate in matches, then what difference does it make to me? But I will say, the reason this is being added, the reason this kind of lore and this kind of backstory is being fleshed out is because there are people that identify with this kind of thing. There are people that like representation, and there are people that are very, strongly feeling, whatever you want to call it, about this specific issue. So overall, no problem with this. I just don't really, it doesn't rub me either way. It just kind of exists. But it's cool for those that do enjoy that kind of content for lore and backstory. But on top of that, those that are wanting to be represented and those that want to have some kind of voice and some kind of, icon in gaming, that's totally fine with me. So if you did want to jump in and play as Soldier 76, then now you need to know he's part of the LGBTQ community, and there is nothing wrong with that. But moving on to the next story of the day, Epic boss Tim Sweeney is worth nearly $3 billion more than Gabe Newell, according to Bloomberg. They're both rich as hell, though, they say at PC Gamer, which is absolutely true. We all marveled at the money-making magic of Steam last year when Forbes ranked Valve boss Gabe Newell as one of the wealthiest people in the US. But do you know who's even wealthier? According to the most recent Bloomberg Billionaires Index, that would be Epic Games founder CEO Tim Sweeney. It is not even really close. Bloomberg pegs Newell's current net worth at $4.34 billion. Good enough for 385th place on the list of the world's 500 richest people, while Sweeney weighs in with $7.16 billion, putting him at position 192. The difference is largely academic. Finding a surprise $20 in your wallet doesn't have quite the same impact once you've moved past your first billion, and neither of them are anywhere near to spitting the distance of Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and other mega zillionaires at the top of the list. But it is an interesting reflection of Fortnite's runaway success that Sweeney hasn't surpassed Newell's wealth, but that this is his debut appearance on the Billionaires Breakdown. Which isn't to say that he wasn't rich as hell before now. Epic was a successful studio long before Fortnite, and Sweeney and his partners sold a 40% stake in the company to Tencent in 2012 for $825 million. But This moves him very suddenly into a whole new realm of too much money. To be clear, Bloomberg's numbers are estimates based on numerous factors and of varying levels of confidence. In Sweeney's case, 3 out of 5 stars. Quote, the majority of Sweeney's fortune stems from his stake in Epic Games, the video game developer he founded in 1991. The company's valuation is based on an October 2018 transaction where a consortium of investors, including KKR and Lightspeed Venture Partners, acquired a stake at a valuation of almost $15 billion. And of course, Bloomberg goes on to explain more. But what you need to know is that, as Roy says in the chat, Tim Sweeney is our new gaming overlord. So bow down. Just kidding. This dude is absolutely filthy rich. And as it does say in the article, this is all pretty much because of Fortnite and the incredible moves that the company has made, not only to ensure that Fortnite is a game that people continue to come back to and that remains culturally relevant, but more so that they are future-proofing the company, because you do have the Epic Games storefront where you can buy indie games, big-name titles, whatever you want to buy. They are effectively trying to formulate the next generation Steam, and that's a very impressive goal to have. So that's one big reason why I think that they're going to continue this kind of growth, and why Tim Sweeney is going to become increasingly wealthy as time does continue to roll on. But right now, Gabe, look out. You're still rich as hell and probably have more money than I'll ever have, but hey, Tim Sweeney coming up hot on you. However, the main point that I want to drive home here as well is that you never know when life is going to throw something at your way. You know, as the article said, very wealthy man before, but now, in the course of just a year, you're up there with some of the richest people in the world. You're in the top 500. Okay, you know, if you have a dream and you have an idea, go for it, because you never know what's going to come in the course of a year. But you know what's coming your way? That's right, Nintendo games on the Humble store. And Nintendo discounts ahoy. Humble has announced that Nintendo Switch and 3DS games will now be available on the store. While the digital distributor has previously offered bundles with PS3, PS4, and Wii U games, this is the first time it offered console downloads for purchase individually. It also could point to a potential discount separate from the eShop, which would be fantastic. Currently, the only games available are Nintendo-developed titles like Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, etc., but the author says that they are sure the list will continue to expand in the future. Nothing is on sale and the available titles are limited, but being able to buy from a web browser might be much more convenient for some people, and it also means you don't need to store your credit card info on the Switch, which is great as well. So if you did want to dive in, again, Humble does give back a chunk of change to some pretty awesome charities, and again, you can choose your charity, all that good stuff, and hopefully in the future we will see more bundles that include Nintendo titles, maybe a Humble Nintendo bundle. Just kidding, it would still be incredibly expensive, but very cool to see this added to the lineup. Again, if you are going to be a digital storefront, it's always better to be able to represent every single chunk of the community overall, including Nintendo as well. But don't worry, you're not going to be able to buy the LEGO Lord of the Rings games because Warner Brothers has pulled them from digital storefronts. One does not simply buy a Middle-earth game. If your child, or you, I would say, is a big Lord of the Rings fan, they might be a little crestfallen. Warner Brothers has pulled both LEGO Lord of the Rings and LEGO The Hobbit from digital stores, including Steam. The company told Kotaku that you could still download them if you'd already purchased copies, but newcomers will have to track down physical copies or just simply go without. Warner Bros. Did not say why it yanked the two titles, although LEGO The Hobbit has a less than stellar history. It only covered the first 2 movies in Peter Jackson's trilogy, and plans for an add-on that introduced the Battle of 5 Armies never materialized. Kotaku observed that both LEGO games were free at the Humble store in December, suggesting that Warner Bros. Might have been phasing them out due to low demand. They are not the most recent games. LEGO Lord of the Rings arrived in 2012, but other LEGO games have had long shelf lives. Clearly, some franchises have fared better than others. And so, you have Polygon speculating that licenses for the games have expired, although that is not yet confirmed. However, again, as Roy says in the chat, I got a Steam key for the game literally like a week or two before they pulled it. There you go. That's how you do it. But very sad to see that any game gets pulled, because I'm a big proponent of this idea of games as history, of games as these icons, of symbols, if you will. How they are beginning to shape our culture and become a pretty big part of our digital footprint, of our cultural footprint, if you will. And even something as small as LEGO Lord of the Rings, although you can still readily find it at any GameStop, whatever you might be having, it's still sad to see them pulled from storefronts because people purchase these games and people want to buy these games. So, again, we'll see if they come back at some point, because we have seen games do that. But as of right now, you cannot buy any LEGO Lord of the Rings titles from the digital storefronts. However, like I said, you can always go back and get them from the good old brick and mortar. Now, Duke of Spook says, this makes me think the bundled re-release of the old LEGO Harry Potter games for current gen was for them to cash in before losing the license for that as well. Also a Warner Brothers franchise. Big point there, actually. Licenses are a difficult thing to deal with in modern day gaming because if you guys remember, not to change the subject or anything, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, it was announced a couple of E3s ago, probably 3 or 4 now I would say, and it came out shortly thereafter, over the summer if I remember correctly, and it was a terrible game, absolutely awful, but because they had let the license sit so long, Activision was pretty much forced to pump out some kind of Tony Hawk experience and maintain that same ownership, because if they didn't make anything over a specific period of time, the license is gone without, and somebody else could have made a Tony Hawk game. And so it was kind of a, a hand was forced to even pump out that horrendous pile of shit known as Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. And it's these kind of situations, and then with them pulling down the Lord of the Rings games, it's the terrible kind of forcing of the hand that I don't like from licenses. But again, I understand copyrights, money, all of that good stuff. We all just can't sit down and enjoy games. There has to be some kind of foundational money element to everything. So I totally understand where you're coming from with that. But speaking of interesting moves that could be forced, because it sounds like somebody's being held hostage, Alien Blackout has been announced for smartphones, and no, it's not a Call of Duty Battle Royale with aliens. However, that also sounds very cool. But Fox Next Games, D3 Go, and Rival Games have announced Alien Blackout, a new horror game in the Alien franchise coming to iOS and Android devices. And here, unfortunately, is an overview of the game. The terror of Alien is brought to life in Alien Blackout. Try to stay alive while trapped aboard a crippled Weyland-Yutani space station carrying a deadly xenomorph as it tirelessly hunts you down and the crew. Outsmart the perfect hunter by making perilous choices. Players must rely on the damage controls of the space station or risk sacrificing crew members to avoid deadly contact, permanently altering the outcome of the game. Survive 7 fear-inducing levels by remotely guiding Amanda Ripley's crew through increasingly challenging tasks, only using the station's emergency systems. The uncertainty and unpredictability of both the alien and her crew can impose total defeat for Amanda and the entire station. Alien Blackout is a unique, fear-inducing horror mobile game experience that will test the inner nerves of both alien and horror fans alike, where life can end in an instant. So you've got some key features. Survive or die using only the space stations. Well, they call them stations. Sure, why not? Limited power to supply and operate a holographic map, surveillance cameras, and motion tracker attempt to remain hidden and protect your crew from the perfect hunter in 7 fear-inducing levels. You've got a new chapter, first-class alien mobile experience, and encounter fear again and again. So, after looking at the trailer, which we'll take a brief look at right here, essentially what you're getting is basically, I think it's called door breakers, something along those lines. It's where you just direct a crew to pretty much move in a specific way. And so whatever they do, whenever they open the door, they could get eaten by a xenomorph, something along those lines. Essentially, it's that kind of strategy game, if you will. Nothing like these first-person alien games like we've seen in the past. So, as Roy says in the chat, you all have phones, right? You can go back and forth between playing Alien Blackout and Diablo Immortal. And that's just a fantastic experience. But hey, it is what it is. I know that mobile games have been growing by leaps and bounds over the course of the past few years. Specifically, if you look outside of Twitch and you look over at Facebook Gaming, because, of course, Facebook is such a big mobile platform, you see so many people actually streaming PUBG Mobile and streaming, I believe it's called Arena of Valor or something along those lines, one of these mobile games, and they have large crowds actually watching them. Mobile gaming is huge outside of the core gaming audience, and that's a very strange concept to me. That was something that took me a while to really kind of, understand and interpret, but it's something that's true. Overall, we'll see how this one goes. Now, BlowPro in the chat says it's like Pac-Man. Not necessarily like Pac-Man. Essentially, I think it's called door breakers. Hold on. The idea is that you take door kickers. My bad. That's what it is. So, hold on. Kickers. There we go. Essentially, it's this kind of concept if I'm understanding it correctly. Now, again, I could be very wrong about this, but from what I can tell, essentially you guide where you want people to go, and so if they go into this specific room, then they'll get eaten by an alien. You are pretty much directing the actions and seeing security cameras and trying to avoid the alien while shooting the alien and staying alive, etc. It's kind of something along those lines. Now, again, I would recommend checking out the official page on the App Store or over on Android via Google Play, and just see if you're into it. Again, I don't know how much it actually cost because there is nothing that I can see that really tells us how much it cost. But let's see right here. Should be $4.99. It is going to be $4.99 for you. And again, this is pretty much what you've got. I don't know if I can click on these images, but essentially it is the Doorbreakers style of gameplay, and you can watch what happens via the security cameras. And it's available also on iPad, if you're into that. But I will not be playing this one. Very strange to me to see this style of game, because I know there was a lot of talk about an alien game building up to 2019, and here we are. It's a mobile game, so maybe interest is being gauged, as I said earlier, on Twitter, I believe, where you can see if people do want a brand new alien game, and this is kind of a good way to see if it actually is going to work out, but it's not what we all expected, without a doubt. But somebody is going to be speedrunning that game without any kind of question in my mind, and they might at one point, assuming that Alien, I don't know where I'm going with this transaction, whatever you want to call it, but Awesome Games Done Quick 2019 is now live. Speedrunning 24 hours a day for the next week, and they are live right now with 149,631 viewers. The 2019 edition of the week-long Awesome Games Done Quick, the world's longest and largest speedrunning event, is now live. The first day includes runs of Hollow Knight, Serious Sam Classic, The First Encounter, and a Portal race, and you can watch all of them on the Games Done Quick Twitch channel or in the player above, and again, that is twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick. The event is raising money for the Prevent Cancer Foundation and will run 24 hours a day for a full 7 days, wrapping up in the early hours of next Sunday. The full schedule can be found on the official Games Done Quick website, of which you can check out every game and who is going to be hosting and running. But it tells you which game is being run, the name of the runner, and the estimated length of each run, and how long it will take to set up. And you can check it out if you did want to, have something in the background while you work, stuff along those lines. But last year, Awesome Games Done Quick raised a record $2.6 million for charity, and you can donate using the link on Twitch or in the one that I'll provide down in the description box below on the YouTube video, if you are into that kind of thing. But again, all of the money this year is going to the Prevent Cancer Foundation. Sounds like a good foundation to me, a good initiative, if you will. And so if you did want to check it out, right now they're playing Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, a fantastic Wii U game that was underappreciated on that generation, but has since been brought to the Switch, and it looks like that's what they're playing on right now. So, again, that is available for your viewing pleasure until next Sunday in the early hours of the morning. But that wraps up today's episode of Caffeinate. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's show, and I did want to say, before I forget, that there is going to be a change to the scheduling of Caffeinate. Essentially, I can't host on Thursdays anymore because I have class from 11 o'clock in the morning until 9:15 at night. Ew, it's gross. So instead, we're going to be hosting Monday through Wednesday, then a Friday show, and then we're going to be having Caffeinate Weekend Update, which is a show that we will talk about in the near future, and it should be around the same time. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at PrettyChillGuy to stay up to date with when that actually will be, and I'll tweet whenever it goes live, as I always do. But that wraps it up for today's show, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you did and you're hanging out in the Twitch chat, I appreciate you being here. If you're watching the YouTube video later on, I appreciate you as well, and I hope you enjoyed what you saw. And of course, for my podcast listeners, thank you very much for sticking out for Monday's episode of Caffeinate. But as for right now, I am going to go check out this Alien mobile game and learn more about it, because I am morbidly curious about how this one is actually going to go. It could be number one. Who even knows? But I'll talk to you guys soon, and peace.